Alright, looks like we're going to do this. Alright, before I say anything else, I just want you to pay close attention to this title screen. I'll get back to that in a moment. But as you can see, we're playing Darkwing Duck on the TurboGrafx-16, a fairly unloved game, with some good reason. This is Gigander Hooter, though. Let's see what he has to say. Ah, Darkwing Duck, so good of you to come so quickly. Our worst fears seem to have become a reality. Steelbeak has united the most powerful criminals in St. Canard and is threatening to take over the city. Word on the street says they are working together on an ultimate crime weapon. All we have uncovered are photos of the criminals looking at stolen paintings. What all this has to do with an ultimate crime weapon we do not know, but I want you to find out. Good luck, DW. So this, of course, is the head of Shush, who often gives Darkwing Duck various missions, usually involving Fowl, the fiendish organization for world larceny. Shush doesn't mean anything. Kind of like Control and Chaos on the old Get Smart show. These villains, most of them, aside from Steelbeak, are not actually affiliated with Fowl. It's a little bit strange. If you look at this screen, you've probably seen this in the Angry Video Game Nerd video. He was unable to do the maneuver I just did, jumping off of the power-up to collect the D, which is a Darkwing Duck 1-up. Yeah, we'll get into the mechanics shortly. So Fowl, that screen that you saw with the picture of the different enemies, that was a stage select screen. You can choose the first three stages and play them in any order. And once you complete Tuscanini, Moliardi, or Megavolt, then you can unlock Steelbeak. And it's interesting because Tuscanini is unique to this Darkwing Duck game, but Megavolt and Moliardi and Steelbeak all appear in the NES Darkwing Duck game by Capcom, which is very, very different and very much better game than this one. Let's see here. So Darkwing, you can see when you collect gas pellets, you can shoot things. They have different effects. I'm not really sure what the different effects are. You can either kill things or stun them or send them moving in the other direction, and I'm never really clear on the color. It's in the manual, and Darkwing just died there. This game has very bad hit detection, which you will definitely see more of as I play through the game. So the main mechanic, though, is you jump on things and you bounce off of them, which I failed to do just there. And the way you accomplish that is there's actually two ways to do it. The main way, which is in the manual, is to hold the down button when you jump, and you will then bounce off of enemies and objects and power-ups and things. It's not too different from how the Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck games are, you know, like Castle of Illusion, but those control so much better than this game does. So the main problem, and you can also do it by holding down the A button after you jump, which is how I was doing it for a long time. I don't remember if that's how I did it when I first beat this game, but it's a lot harder to control that way. So once I realized I was doing it wrong, I switched to using the down button. So I have finished this game before. I've played it in November of 2020, so it's been a couple of years, and I never recorded the playthrough. This is the first game that I finished on my MiSTer FPGA, and it was rough. I wanted to finish it, though, because the game had a pretty bad rap, mainly due to the AVGN video, and because I wanted to give it a fair shake, and I'm a huge Darkwing Duck fan, so I felt like I really needed to actually play the game for myself. Oh, okay, so here is the intro. This is the original intro to Darkwing Duck. And if you look at the title sequence here, you will see the same title sequence that appears in the TurboGrafx-16 game.
I am Darkwing Duck. Mystery champion of right swoops out of the shadows. Darkwing owns the night. Somewhere some villain schemes, but his numbers up. Darkwing Duck. When there's trouble, you don't keep up. Darkwing Duck. Let's get dangerous.
And there it is.
Master of surprise. Who's the cunning mind behind the shadowy disguise? Nobody knows for sure. The bad guys are out of luck. 'Cause here comes Darkwing Duck. When there's trouble, you can feel Darkwing Duck.
Dangerous.
Darkwing Duck.
An all-new series comes to the Disney Channel.
Darkwing Duck.
Okay, so this is the main reason why I picked the Tuscanini stage first. You can collect these continues. These are the C icons. Looks kind of like a copyright symbol, which seems appropriate for Disney. You can collect 2 continues and 1 up in the stage, and then kill yourself and loop back around to collect the continues. And I think that's kind of cheap, I think. But honestly, this game, I don't think you'll begrudge it when you see how difficult this game is to play through, at least for somebody who hasn't completely mastered it. So I'm killing myself here. And I'm going to do another couple of run-throughs of this just to show you the continue loop, which is just a small sampling of how repetitive and monotonous it is. But I will do a transition towards the end, so you don't have to see me collect all like 18 continues, which seems excessive. But the previous attempt that I did before recording this run-through, I almost beat the game, and I ran out of continues. So I decided to overcompensate a little bit. And again, I don't think they put it there for a reason. This continue loop is here for a reason. They know that you need it to get through the game. The game, by default, you have 4 lives and no continues. So that's a bit difficult, on your early playthroughs. I originally beat this game in 2020, and I didn't record it, and I kind of have been meaning to play it through and record it. Gary from Rock Solid Productions, Eldiner Productions, a lot of people with productions in the title, have encouraged me to play through the game and stream it in the past, because I'm one of the few people, I think, who say that this game isn't that bad, really. And I think I might have changed my tune a little bit trying to do this recording, because it was really rough, and yet I think that there are some really nice features in this game that make it worthwhile, especially for a Darkwing Duck fan. One of those moments is coming up right here. Watch what happens when Darkwing gets swept away by the water. See, he passes through the tube. All right, so here's the transition. This is going to be that was the last part of the continue loop, and I'm progressing, and there's another cute little moment coming up right here at the end. Look for the flash quack that flies up after I pick up this puzzle piece. Another nice nod to the series, that was the flash quack, which is a portable, like a remote control version of Darkwing's plane, the Thunder Quack, and Shush uses that to communicate missions to him. That's something that's in the show, and I think it's really neat that it shows up here. Lots of nice little touches like that, which I'll try to cover as I go through this. So this is the Tuscanini battle. I've had trouble mastering the patterns here, and again, there's really bad hit detection. So that was my first attempt, and then this is many, many attempts later, where I think I've finally got the hang of it. So I just decided to save you guys the trouble. I do have a full recording of this going up. If you want to see the full 2.5 hour long attempt, including all of the grinding for continues and all of the deaths and wandering around and restarting. And this is a very repetitive, kind of monotonous game. It forces you to redo things a lot. If you're bad at it, which, I never said I'm good at games, but I'm very persistent. If you're bad at it, you'll be doing things a lot over and over and over again. But here I finally got it down, but you can see, like, even when you hit him, sometimes you take damage. All right, and I didn't cover this before, but you're collecting in each of these stages, you're collecting these puzzle pieces, right? And then those puzzle pieces end up here, where you have to assemble this painting. That is Goslin and Honker Muddlefoot. Goslin being Darkwing's daughter. And you have to collect all the puzzle pieces, and if you don't collect them all, you fail the mission and have to redo it. And I've considered not completing the Tuscanini stage, like leaving one puzzle piece out so that I could go back to it if I need more continues, but I decided to just clear it and try to get as many continues up front as I thought I might need, or really more than I thought I might need, and I think you'll see later on I ended up like having just the right amount. So this stage is pretty rough. The Moliardi stage is the hardest in the game for me, mostly because there's a lot of tricky platforming, and Darkwing is very, very hard to control. So you'll see him pass through platforms, you'll see him drop through platforms, fall off of platforms, do weird little extra jumps, just kind of look basically out of control. And again, like I said, when you're bouncing off of enemies, you will often take damage, which is really, really bad. So here, I'm going to the left because there's a puzzle piece up there that you need to get, and it's really hard to get. So look, I just fell through that freaking platform. Anyway, I did this a lot, and that white flash is in transition to my successful attempt. I lost a lot of lives, did a lot of continues, and this took me a very long time to get through this stage. This was probably the bulk of my full playthrough. It gets worse from here, but this area in particular is rough because I don't see any way that you can get through this without taking damage. You'll see when Darkwing is on the edge of a platform, he kind of does this weird little, he looks like he's going to fall off of it, which is more than a cute animation. He actually will fall off of the platform if you don't do something. There, I finally got it. And I grabbed the one up, and then I just dropped down. Like, you can sometimes land on those platforms. I have landed on those platforms and survived, but I didn't even care. Because once you collect a puzzle piece, thank goodness, you don't have to collect it again, even when you continue. So that's a saving grace. You'll also see me, if I'm standing in one position for a long time, if I'm waiting for something, you'll see me do lots of... See, I fell down there, and I didn't actually really want to. So that's tough because it's hard to get back out of there. You'll see me do like lots of little hops, and that's because if you're idle for too long, I'm not kidding. If you're idle for too long, Darkwing does some little idle animations which are kind of cute, and then there's one idle animation where you're just standing there. I just dropped down. You're standing there for too long, a safe or an anvil or something will just drop on you and kill you. So the game does not reward you for standing in place for long. I do not have that in my playthrough because I didn't want to waste a life just to show you. I'm pretty sure the Angry Video Game Nerd covers it. Those eggs are health, so you'll see me try to grab an egg whenever I can. Sorry this recording is like all over the place. I didn't script this, and I'm just kind of trying to respond to things as I go through. So this area, this is sort of the first section of the Moliardi stage, the overworld, and you need to collect at least you have to have like all but 4 puzzle pieces by the end of this stage. If you don't, you will not be able to complete the stage. You'll get a mission fail and have to redo the whole thing over again. Ask me how I know. Because I've missed puzzle pieces before, and in fact, on the last playthrough, I accidentally progressed past the last puzzle piece and had to do the whole thing all over again. So I lost, like, probably, I want to say at least a good hour, maybe longer, just in the Moliardi stage, and I cut all of that out of this video. The way that I recorded this is you'll see most of my playthrough except like up till when I collect a puzzle piece, and then I'll just skip ahead to the next puzzle piece, just because it's so tedious. Like, I keep missing puzzle pieces. It's so hard to recover. I guess I could get good at this one day. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. If I wanted to, I'm not going to do a no death run of this game. I kind of started to lose my desire to play through it again. which was more than just wanting to get a recording of this for perpetuity. The other reason I'm doing it is for Omega Ace Gaming. Now, he is doing an 800 subscriber giveaway, which should still be active when I post this video. I think I may do this as a premiere. And so there'll be a link to his video about that giveaway in the description. So the challenge is to record you fighting the final boss of a Disney game. And I decided to use this opportunity to record a game that not many people really play, or certainly may not have ever beaten, and may never beat because it's really demanding. He urged us to think outside of the box, and in my case, I decided the box meant the NES, which is my usual system. There's one Disney game. There are a couple of Disney games on there that I do want to beat. Tailspin and Adventures in the Magic Kingdom being two of them. And I thought about playing those, but again, I wanted to do something that wasn't the NES. I also thought about doing the Master System because I've been kind of working on finishing the Lucky Dime Keeper, which is sort of a DuckTales Donald Duck video game, but that's also pretty tough, and I haven't beaten it before. And then I decided I would do Darkwing Duck because, you know, I felt like it was time. And I started to regret that because I think I tried 4 or 5 attempts to get this down. And I really had to relearn the game after 2 years. All right, so this is a really tricky bit for me. You can collect that continue, and then you can drop down. But that puzzle piece that I just missed is going to be a real problem for me because you can't get back up there from here. So you can only get back up to the surface way farther down, and then you have to backtrack. And I had such trouble with that. So I redo this section quite a bit. The only way that I know, I've seen playthroughs of this where people have jumped off of Moliardi's bullets and managed to get over that pit, but I usually jump off of the slug or honey badger or whatever that thing is in order to clear it. A lot of blind jumps in this game as well. So this is a tricky area. You can kill the spider, and this is one of the sections where I accidentally progressed past the last puzzle piece. There are a few puzzle pieces up on the top that I missed, and you need them before you can progress. And I had forgotten that you can progress from down here too. Sorry, I know it doesn't really make sense, but if you watch my full playthrough or a more competent playthrough of the game, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So that puzzle piece over there on the right I also missed. That's kind of bad. I should have gone back for it here. Yeah, I basically botched this stage a lot and had to redo it a bunch of times. So that's another transition where I finally collect this piece after many, many deaths. And then I keep going and I try to get the next one. So some other nice things that are interesting about this game is you saw in the Tuscanini stage, Tuscanini shows up once in the middle of the stage and attacks you. Here Moliardi shows up a couple of times in the middle of the stage and attacks you. And I just think that's kind of a neat mechanic. You can't really attack them. You can't do anything. They're really just there to annoy you or kill you, and you can just avoid them. So that's when I progressed accidentally to down here, and I still left a piece up on the surface on the previous section, which you cannot get back to, because if you die here or you continue here, you just start over again from the beginning of the stage. So the only way now to progress is to collect all the puzzle pieces and get to the end, and then you get a mission fail, and you have to start the whole stage all over again. So that's super frustrating. These enemies, by the way, you see them a lot. These are foul Eggmen. They're kind of like the standard henchmen that serve Steel Beak. It's weird to see them, you know, in a Tuscanini stage or Moliardi stage because they don't typically work together. Those giant machines that they're riding, if you touch the front of them, you die instantly. It's an instant death. And you can see that when I successfully clear it and land on the Eggman, sometimes I take damage anyway. Like, the hit detection is really bad. Alright, so I started this stage over again. I got a mission fail, and I started all over again just so that I could collect this last piece here. And now I can progress properly. And there was the flash crack again back there. Darkwing Duck Trivia. The Thunderquack was built by Launchpad McQuack, who is Darkwing's sidekick, of course, and came from the DuckTales series, sort of a spin-off, although the creators of Darkwing Duck, Tad Stone, claimed that this actually happens in an alternate reality, or a parallel universe to DuckTales. So it's not in the same continuity as DuckTales, even though there are some like crossover appearances of like Gizmoduck and Launchpad in the series. Anyway, this is me. I have all the puzzle pieces now. I just have to get to the end of this stage in order to get to the boss. And like I said, this stage is the absolute worst for me. I die so much in here. It's just so... I wouldn't even say it's just janky. It's just the game mechanics are so rough that I have a hard time mastering them. The Moliardi fight itself isn't that terrible. And then the next stage, the Megavolt stage, is not that bad. Even the last stage isn't this bad, except, oddly enough, the Moliardi section, which you will see later on. So some other nice things about this game. I do like the animations. I think there aren't that many frames in his movement, but the ones that are there are pretty nice. I think he looks pretty good, and it looks kind of reminds me of the cartoon almost as nice as the Aladdin Genesis game. And the background scrolling in this game is very nice. I think that the actual like level design is pretty good throughout the game. The music is okay. It's not very Darkwing, except for that title sequence music. And it's very repetitive because there's really only 2 themes in this game. This one and then the boss theme, which I actually really like. And if you like the boss theme again, you can hear it again in the Tailspin game from TTI, which made this game for TurboGrafx. So yeah, the Tailspin TurboGrafx-16 game, which I heard is also very, very bad. I've played like a tiny little bit of it. Supposedly it's worse than this. I will play it at some point, I'm sure, but they've recycled an entire theme from one game to the next. So here I'm waiting for the flash crack, but it doesn't show up, and then I just progress. So this is the boss theme music, which I kind of like. And then this is the Moliardi boss fight. I think I do die to this one, but he's not as tricky as Tuscanini at all. The thing is, I need to get enough distance from his gun so that I can dodge the bullets. And sometimes I can actually hit him once or twice. The hit detection is a little bit better in this than it is in the Tuscanini fight. So yeah, I mean, if you touch him when he's underground, you die too. Because that makes a lot of sense. I think you can hurt them with your gas gun, but I don't even think I ever really try. Gas gun's not the most useful thing in this game. While it is very helpful in the NES game. So like the animation is like the way Darkwing moves is pretty stiff and he looks a little bit weird, but I like some of it looks very cartoony, which is appropriate. So yeah, this goes much better for me. And then you get the last puzzle piece. Mission complete. Yeah, and I don't bother trying to put that puzzle together until I have all the pieces. So here we go, moving on to Megavolt. I like they have like little dossiers on all of them. Darkwing actually does that same intro in the NES game, except he actually has like a little word bubble that says, "I am Darkwing Duck." So this stage, again, isn't too bad, except that at least once you've played through it and you know where everything is, but there's a lot of repetition because you have to kind of do some backtracking, and if you slip up, you have to repeat sections of the level, and some of these jumps are really, really rough. You'll see me hopping up and down on these platforms, by the way, and the reason for that is they have these 2 lights on them, right? And if you stand on the platform without moving for too long, those lights flash faster and faster. And if you stay on for too long, which you'll see here, then they either electrocute you or they drop. So here Megavolt skates through on the power lines, which I think is really cool. This is a free life. I want to collect it, but I wish I could bounce off of it, but you can't. So you just got to drop, and then you got to repeat this. And when you see Megavolt come sliding up like that, you just have to duck, and his electric bolts will miss you. Lightning bolts will miss you. And then you just have to repeat, sections of this over and over again until you make it. You collect all the puzzle pieces. Very tedious, but again, not as bad as the Moliardi stage. The Moliardi stage is kind of a maze, and it has really, really bad platforming, and just a lot of sections that you can't really recover from. You can't get out of those things very easily. That wall will electrocute you. That'll electrocute you. That water puddle, for some reason, electrocutes you. A lot of electrocution in this stage. Yeah, duck. It's a cute animation of his getting zapped. They have a lot of different unique animations for his deaths, which is also pretty neat. Yeah, so I missed that. You got to go back. If it looks like I'm just a really bad player, I mean, that might be part of it, but the controls are really, really that bad. And if I'm being generous, I might say that they did it intentionally, because Darkwing Duck is kind of a buffoon, right? In the show, he often succeeds. I mean, he's by persistence, I think, and with help, and so those things hurt you if you touch them. Those spinning things on the roof. I don't know. So you almost wonder, like, did they program this so that you feel like Darkwing Duck, being incompetent, inept? But no, I think it's just poorly programmed. It baffles me that it shipped like this, because it could be a really good game with all the other things going for it if they had just made it more playable. Like, that's really the main knock I have against this game. I do think you can master it. I'm very, very rusty still, and I never really learned it well enough to get through the stages without all those continues. And I don't know that there's much incentive to do so. But but if you do take the time to figure it out, see, I'm thinking about going back to get that one up, and I'm like, no, never mind. Not worth it. Sometimes you see glitches in the stage. That's not my system emulating it. I think I see that wherever you see this game played, it just glitches sometimes. It's a little buggy. Could be a good game. Could be a really good game, and it's an okay game as it is. This fight isn't that bad, but I do die here a bunch because it's tricky. There have been a couple of times where I've been able to jump on Megavolt's head and just kind of keep jumping on it until he takes damage, even when he jumps back up to that platform up there, but it's really tricky to pull off. And he seems to take damage more often when you land on his head, but Tuscanini doesn't seem to take much damage. Like, there are times when you hit him on the head and he doesn't seem to take damage, like when he flashes. And the same with Moliardi. But it's not too bad. I don't think this took me too many attempts. But another nice thing about this game, when you continue in a boss fight, you just continue from the boss fight. Like, I really greatly appreciate that. This game, as difficult as it is, does throw you a lot of bones, So I think they were trying to compensate a little bit for the challenge. Yeah, that was bad. The way that you sometimes kind of get stun locked, you have no invincibility frames when you get hit, really. So just don't get hit. Like, this background's not the greatest, but that does look like St. Canard in that background. Some of these backgrounds are really strange. They look like bitmaps, right? See, that's a cool when he gets fried like that. That looks neat. Yeah, some of the graphics in this, some of the backgrounds and things, when you see that painting that I have to assemble at the end, it's not the greatest. Some of these weird graphics, but this isn't a bad looking game overall, I think. So grab the puzzle piece, and then we're moving on. Right, so now we're moving on to the Steelbook stage. After I put this thing together. Now, I'm really bad at puzzles like this, like slide puzzles, and this isn't exactly a slide puzzle, but I'm really bad at this, and I've done it a few times, of course. Part of the problem is that it's just a badly rendered image, so it's really hard to tell when things match up. Like, some of the colors don't even seem to sync up, so you can't really tell that they belong together. Anyway, I'm going to muddle through this for a little bit. Like, that red is different from the other red that it's like linked up with, and I guess that might be a lighting thing. But I don't know, I just had some trouble with this. Yeah, and that weird effect in the background definitely looks like a bad bitmap, doesn't it? Yep, come on, you can do it. Yeah, this takes me a little while. I thought I could fast forward through this, but it's not the worst thing. So I figured I'd just show the struggle. It's not a bad gameplay feature to have this puzzle. Kind of cute, like they give you a reason why you have to collect all the puzzle pieces. You know, it's a little bit of a thin reason, but it works. Anyway, if you're watching this video, I really appreciate it. Again, I did cut out like a good chunk of my playthrough, so if you want to see the unedited version of this without commentary, just my little reactions in the corner, you can hop over and check that out as well. But I really wanted to add a little value to this recording than just like watching me play through the game. So, and I'd like to do more gameplay recordings where I at least provide a little bit of commentary. And again, I'm not doing things like no death runs or one credit clears or things like that, but you know, I finish games generally just by not giving up. And this is only the second time I've beaten this game, and I don't know that I'm in any hurry to play through it again anytime soon, just because for me, the tricky thing about this game is that there is some skill involved, of course, but the awkward mechanics and all that stuff just make it kind of too much randomness for me, you know. So I think I could be pretty good at it, and I will still just die because the game is just built that way. Like, I don't think that's a very good painting of the whatever they call her. It's not the Mona Lisa, whatever the duck version of the Mona Lisa is. It's kind of nice to just not be playing a Moliardi stage again, though. Almost there. Yeah, that's part of her bill on the right-hand side. I have to move over. Sorry. I feel like I need to apologize for wasting your time. I mean, when I'm watching it now, it seems pretty obvious, but I should have been able to do this more quickly. I actually don't know if the pieces are always in the same place either. You know, I never really paid attention. It might be interesting if they're random every time, but I suspect they're not random. So you probably just need to move the same pieces over and over again. Yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking here. Almost there. There's Honker peeking through. Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty bad at these. I should have just fast forwarded through this. I'm sorry. It seems pretty obvious where that piece goes. Oh man, this is frustrating even for me watching this again. Thank goodness. Alright. Yeah, Darkwing's like, I don't get it. That's kind of cute. So that's a really badly drawn picture of Goslin and Honker. Like those are really bad. I don't know what's going on there. Alright, moving on to Steel Beak. Like I said, this last section, I don't know what Lost Duck is, but this last section is pretty tough. This section in particular, right here, this is, so you have to refight the bosses. It's not that difficult, but mostly there's a lot of like tough platforming. So in here, if you go all the way to the right, there's a 1-up, but I clearly decided not to bother, and I died. But I figured I think that I had enough continues. So here I'm coming in with 10 credits. I'm going to burn through those real fast. Mostly in this section. Not in this section, the next one after this, but the Moliardi area. Yeah, it's like playing drunk. Like they programmed you with bad controls. And maybe they made the controls bad to make it harder, because I guess if it controlled better, it would be an easier game, but it would also be a more fun game. Yeah. But it does have really nice scrolling in it. Actually, I guess this is different music, isn't it, from the other ones? So maybe this game has three themes in it. See, like, what's going on with that platform? That's just hateful. Alright, so that's just the prelude. You go up this elevator, and now you're in, this is Moliardi's section, and I have a real hard time with this one. Mainly this jump coming up here, and there's like garbage dropping down on you. So there, I jumped in that pit on purpose, because sometimes you can bounce out of the pit, and I didn't understand what was happening, but I think what happens is you can sometimes jump off of the garbage after it's fallen off of the screen. And here, that jump is very tricky unless you jump at exactly the right time and angle. And you do collect that invincibility thing, which gets you through the masher. But it's like you're always playing on ice. So look, I lost like 5 credits, and I just jumped ahead to my successful run here. 5 credits. That's like 3 or 4 lives in each life. In each continue, and it's just really rough. So the exit is over there on the left, but you can't get to it until you get rid of Moliardi, who is running the machine that's blocking that section there. So yeah, this isn't my favorite area, and I don't know why it's always Moliardi for me. Actually, in the NES game the Moliardi stage is one of the trickiest for me too. The stage itself isn't the worst, but Moliardi fight is really hard for me. So maybe I just have a weakness against Moliardi. These Darkwing Duck games are so odd because they pick like these weird B villains, you know. Moliardi was in like 2 episodes of the series. Tuscanini was in like 2 or maybe 3. They've never been very... They're kind of pushovers on the show proper. They don't really have any special powers. And yet they keep appearing in the video games. Steelbeak keeps showing up too, which kind of makes sense. But he's not that difficult on the show either. Like, I want to see a Darkwing Duck game where you're fighting the Fearsome Five. You know, you got you got Megavolt, so you just have to jump on his head. But then you still have to backtrack in this level to get to the beginning of the stage. And if you die, you have to redo it all over again. So this isn't one of those areas where it captures your progress. So I'm finally out of there. I'm going up. Yeah, so Fearsome 5 would be Quackerjack, who's in the NES game. Megavolt, the same. Liquidator, he's in the NES game. Yeah, the NES game has the Fearsome 5 in it, except for Negaduck, for some reason. My theory about this game is that it is based largely on the very early episodes, and probably like production materials, because it has that original opening, which was never used in the show proper. You know, it aired like once, and I found it on YouTube, and it uses that title treatment. And the box art for the game, as you see in the lower left, I'm pretty sure I've seen that as like promotional art elsewhere, but I've only seen it in like a couple of other places. I think it might be in like, I was trying to find it because I thought I found the graphics somewhere, but I think it's in like the sticker book that I have, like the Panini sticker book for Darkwing Duck. There's a lot of like weird like key art that they use for the show that isn't commonly shown. It's just so awkward, like these jumps, tiny little platforms with a guy who just cannot stand on a platform for his life. So this is rough, but this won't take me, you know. Oh, there's the one up, right? This section won't take me as long as the Moliardi section did. This one's pretty straightforward. Thank goodness. Yeah. Can't get to it till you go after Megavolt, which is right there. So that's not so bad. And then you just gotta go back through the stage again one more time. So it's not terrible. It's just very repetitive and slow and annoying. But these jumps are just so hard. You're constantly fighting the controls in this game. Just not fun. It's not fun. The only thing that I find enjoyable about this game, again, is just like the little nods to the series. You know, the fact that it feels, in some ways, more closely linked to the show than the NES game did. Although there are a lot of similarities between them. So here I forgot that you can't just storm through, because of course you can't. You have to beat Tuscanini, so he'll stop that masher. But the end is nigh. I mean, they captured a lot of Darkwing's character in this, I think. Yeah, just gotta. So that's cool how he does that. That's really neat. So the NES Darkwing Duck game, you can control his cape, of course. You can use it to block projectiles, which is nice. But jumping on enemies definitely feels more kind of a traditional platformer kind of thing, instead of using your gas gun, because Darkwing never use his gas gun like Mega Man does. The NES game always feels like a little strange compared to this. Like, I want to like this game more, and I think that, again, I think it does some things, better than the NES game. But the NES game overall is just a better game. It's just better made. It's a better made game, and it's more fun. Now I would like to do a no death run of the NES game at some point, but I am, as always, short on time. So here we go. This is the end here. You can see I have my game face on. Now, this is a rough fight. I basically burned through the rest of my continues in this section here, even though I know how to beat this thing. And some of that is because of bad hit detection again. Here, I tried firing at him with my gas gun, and I don't actually know if that did any damage, because he's flashing. Oh, he is taking a little bit of damage, but not a lot. You really need to jump on him in order to do it. That might have worked, but I wasted my gas on that. And he touched me and I died. So I'm going to burn through probably the rest of my continues here, and you'll see a jump cut to the final attempt pretty soon, when I figured out a pretty good, it's not necessarily a way to cheese it, but a safe way to beat the enemy, to beat the boss. I do like this boss, though. I kind of lost my mind when I saw this, when I played this the first time, because it's so cool. Like, a giant Darkwing Duck robot is brilliant. Like, this is a much better boss fight than the one on the NES game. You're also fighting Steel Beak, but you're actually fighting Steel Beak, and he's like hiding behind some armor. The NES boss fight's pretty good. It's a little bit challenging until you can figure out what to do, and there's a little bit of luck involved with getting the right pattern of the enemies. But this one, I think they could have fixed this a little bit so it's not quite so tedious. And then there really should be a second phase where you have to actually fight Steel Beak. So you see that his head looks like it's taking damage, but it doesn't always take damage. And sometimes when you're hitting it, you take damage. So yeah, he is taking some damage there. This seems to be the best pattern to attack him when and then there's like miniature robot Darkwings, which is great. When they're parachuting down. All right, so you're gonna see me die. So this one was really frustrating for me. I almost had him, and then I just got impatient and died. Yeah, and now we jump to the last continue that I have. So here I'm starting to get a little bit worried, because I think I know what to do, but somehow I keep dying. And this is it. Like, this was my second attempt for the night. This was like last night, and it took me so long to play through this game both times that if I had lost again here, I don't think I would have been entering this game in Omega's giveaway. I probably would have just given up on it, and I probably would have recorded like a game that had a save file for. I would have recorded like the end of DuckTales Remastered or something like that, and I just would have been defeated, because I don't have time to keep playing this game. I have some other stuff that I need to work on soon. So this really felt like my last attempt to get this recording and get this win. So so basically, I'm playing it completely safe here. They cannot hit you in the back behind the robot, and I'm just going to wait for the best pattern of parachuting mini DARKWINGs. I'm just not taking any chances, because if you take a chance, so theoretically I should be able to jump on these to get to him, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to risk it. And you see me jumping up and down there again, it's because I don't want a safe to be dropped in my head for standing still for so long. It is nice that they give you an energy meter. And then I move to the front for this pattern because that way I can jump over him and get behind him, whenever I can manage it. And you'll definitely see there are a couple of instances where I hit him on the head and he just doesn't seem to take any damage. Or maybe he takes more damage in some spots than others. And sometimes I jump on his head and I take damage. There, I just totally forgot that he was about to do that. Oh, I see a little glitch in the DARKWING robot sprite there, but I didn't notice before. Anyway, this is kind of a boring fight once you decide to play it safe, but, there it is. I just wanted to finish the game. I think I ended up finishing this about 3 a.m. It was pretty late. And, I just wanted to get it done. So yeah, if this video is still running, if it's still January 2023 when you're watching this video, you can still enter Mega Ace's giveaway. It's his 800 subscriber giveaway. It runs through the end of the month, and again, all you have to do is record the ending, record you beating the final boss of a Disney game, and it does, except for The Little Mermaid on the NES. That was the only game he banned from this contest, because it is a pretty easy game, and you'd probably end up with a lot of people doing that. And he does say to think outside of the box. Some people have been thinking like, oh, anything that Disney owns or has owned counts, and technically, yeah, I guess. I don't think that it would be retroactive. Like if I were following it to the strictest letter of the law, I don't think it would be anything retroactive. So I wouldn't play like an old Star Wars game and claim that's a Disney game just because they own Star Wars now. If at the time they owned whatever property it was, then sure. But I think you know a Disney game when you see it. It's like based on one of their shows or their movies or something that's definitely part of their intellectual property, like something that just speaks to the Disney brand. And there's so many games to choose from. There's no reason to go outside of that admittedly larger box unless you're just trying to, be a wise guy about it. Yeah. So, yeah, if you watch this long, or even if you just skipped ahead or whatever, you have almost as much patience as I do, and I appreciate it. Let me know what you think of this game now that you've seen someone play through the whole thing. There are other playthroughs on YouTube. There are better playthroughs on YouTube. But this is me playing it, and, it's kind of like watching me live stream a game where I'm trying to learn it for the first time. But, I've played this game before, and I'm a little bit embarrassed at how much I had forgotten and how long it took me to relearn it and how many continues I had to use to get through the game. But, again, I feel like this is a game that should have had unlimited continues, probably because of how difficult it is, but at least they give you the option to mine them or farm them. We're getting to the end, and I started thinking about taking some more risks just to wrap it up, but I decided to be patient and just not do that. We're almost there. I mean, you don't even have gas when you restart this enemy. All right, should be one more hit, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this game has some merits. You know, you really do need to read the manual for these kinds of things, and you just need to practice it. And I guarantee, if I had played this as a kid, I would have beaten it, and I'd probably think much more fondly of it if it was a game that I only, you know, one of the few games that I had for any number of months. I did try this game a long time ago. I used to actually own this game. I had 2 TurboGrafx-16 games, 2 cue cards. Splatterhouse, which I found one day on the sidewalk in New York City in the rain, and it did still work. And then Darkwing Duck, which I think I purchased on eBay, even though I didn't own a system. And then a friend of mine had a TurboGrafx-16. He's the only person I know who has ever owned a TurboGrafx-16. And I tried it at his place once, and I didn't get very far. It was basically like the Angry Video Game Nerd experience. And I didn't have a manual for the game, and I just basically realized it was not good. All right, and here we are. So we did finish it, and then I'm standing here and I'm waiting. And can you imagine if I was just standing there and then a safe fell on my head? I forgot I had to advance to the right there. And now it's over. They're leaving. That's a really off-model steel beak. And I think I was very relieved and very tired when this happened. It's kind of a cute little gag at the end here. Crime doesn't pay, especially if they don't pay for gas. It looks like he stole their gas, so. And then there's a big arcade there, which I'd like to go to. But yeah, that was Darkwing Duck on the TurboGrafx-16 finally. Again, sorry, and thank you for your patience watching me get through the end of it. If you have even more patience or want to see every painful moment of this game, go check out my other video, which has a full unedited, uncommented version of the playthrough, just to prove I really did it. And let me know what you think. Do you want to play this? Have you played this? Have you beaten this game? Are you going to enter Omega Aces contests? Or have you? And what game would you play? But thank you again very much, and take care. I will probably not play this game again for a very, very long time.